Today we'll be working on ATI TEAS Practice Problem 5, Order of Operations with Fractions. Okay, we're going to simplify the expression we have here below. We have 2/3 divided by 4/15 times 5/8. In order to simplify this, we're going to use the concept of order of operations. Order of operations requires you to perform operations in a particular order. In school, we learned a concept called PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. You guys might have learned it another way besides please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, but the order in which you learned how to perform operations was first you do whatever's in parentheses first, then you do exponents, multiply or divide from left to right, or add or subtract from left to right. Okay. If you look at this problem we have here, and we read it from left to right, we have division first. The PEMDAS rules tells us we will deal with either multiplication or division, whichever comes first from left to right. So it looks like we're dealing with division here. So we're going to do a sidebar and focus on 2/3 divided by 4/15. If you recall from school, when you learned how to divide fractions, you had to use a concept called keep, change, flip. What this means is you're going to keep 2/3 like it is. You're going to change your division to multiplication, and you're going to flip your second fraction, and it's going to be 15/4. So in other words, your denominator goes on top and then your numerator goes on the bottom. You just flip it, which is also called the reciprocal. So now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply these two fractions, 2/3 times 15/4. Now what we can do this two ways. We can multiply across as is and then reduce the fraction in the end, or we can do something called cross cancel out. So what we can do is we can cross reduce what we have already. Why don't we cross reduce? We're going to do that. Let's do that. Okay. So we have 4 and we have 2. Okay, we're going to cross reduce these fractions. What can we divide 4 and 2 by? Well, we can divide 2 by itself, which gives us 1. We can divide 4 by 2, which gives us 2. Now let's look at 15 and 3. What can we divide into 15 and 3? What's the biggest number we can divide into both of those? 3, right? So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So these numbers that I'm circling are going to be your new numbers in your fractions. So let's rewrite this fraction, these two fractions, as, let's see here, 1/1 times 5/2. So if we multiply across, numerator times numerator, we get 5. Denominator times denominator, we get 5/2. Okay. So what we've done is we've taken 2/3 divided by 4/15 and turned that into 5/2. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get rid of this arrow, and I'm going to put a little bracket here and say that this has changed to 5/2. Okay, so now what we have to do is take 5/2 and multiply that with 5/8. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here in this space I have. I'm going to take 5/2 and multiply it with 5/8. Now these two fractions, we cannot do any cross canceling because there's nothing here between 5 and 8. The biggest number we can divide into both of those is 1, and the same for 5 and 2. So we're not going to use cross canceling for this. We're going to just multiply across as is. So 5 times 5 is 25. 2 times 8 is 16. Now, we can stop right here, okay? So we've taken 2/3 divided by 4/15, got 5/2. Then we took that answer and multiplied 5/2 times 5/8 and got 25/16. Now, it depends on what your answer choices look like on the test, right? Your answer choices could come in either the form of a fraction like this, or it could come in the form of a mixed number. Now let's say that your answer choices are in the form of a mixed number. How would you change 25/16 to a mixed number? Well, first thing you want to ask yourself is, how many times does 16 go into 25? Let's do some quick long division here. Because remember, a fraction, like 25/16, fractions are just like another way of dividing, right? So you can actually divide 25 by 16. 16 goes into 25 one time. 1 times 16 is 16. Subtract, you get your remainder, right? So that remainder is what helps you create your mixed number. That 9 will become the numerator, and your 16 remains the denominator. So basically, you've changed your improper fraction answer, 25/16, to 1 9/16. Okay? So there we go. So again, our answer can either be 25/16 or 1 9/16. If you guys have found this video helpful, go ahead and give it a like. We have several other videos we're going to be doing for several TEAS practice problems. Okay, every problem we do will be reflective of what's on the test. And also, don't be selfish. Subscribe to the channel. Share the video with others that you know might be taking the TEAS. Okay. Thank you very much for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.